This is the story of how the Oklahoma City Thunder, defending NBA champions on pace for a historic season, nearly lost to the Utah Jazz, a struggling team on the road as heavy underdogs, until Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit a buzzer beater to force overtime and secure one of the most dramatic wins of the 2025-26 season. On January 7th, 2026, the Thunder and Jazz squared off at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City in what would become one of the most compelling games of the young basketball season. What started as a completely one-sided affair transformed into a back-and-forth thriller that went down to the final second of regulation and into overtime. Let's break down exactly what happened. The Oklahoma City Thunder entered this game with a record of 31-7. These numbers don't just represent wins and losses, they represent something historic. The Thunder had started their season 24-1, tying the legendary 2015-16 Golden State Warriors for the best 25-game start in NBA history. They were the defending NBA champions, having won it all just months earlier by defeating the Indiana Pacers in 7 games. Expectations couldn't have been higher, but something had changed recently. The Thunder had dropped 6 of their previous 12 games, including a stunning 27-point loss to the Charlotte Hornets just the night before. They were snapping a 2-game losing streak with this matchup against Utah. For a team that hadn't lost 3 consecutive regular season games since April 2024, this recent skid was uncharacteristic and concerning. The Utah Jazz, on the other hand, were in a completely different situation. They came into the game with a 12-24 record and were on a 4-game losing streak. They were 17.5-point underdogs, a massive gap that reflected the disparity between these two teams. The Jazz were one of the weakest teams in the league, but they were about to give the defending champions everything they could handle. The Thunder came out with purpose in the first quarter. By the end of the opening frame, Oklahoma City had built a 31-22 lead. The defense was suffocating. Utah shot just 34.6% from the field and an abysmal 18.2% from three-point range. It looked like this was going to be a blowout. The second quarter only made things worse for Utah. The Thunder extended their lead to 20 points with 9 minutes remaining in the half. They were controlling the game on both ends of the floor, moving the basketball and playing the kind of championship-level defense that had defined their season. By halftime, the Thunder held a 58-53 lead, and it seemed like only a matter of time before they put this game away. But the halftime score tells a different story than the quarter-by-quarter numbers. Though the Thunder were up 5, the Jazz had actually shown some signs of life in the second quarter. Lauri Markkanen and Keyonte George, Utah's 2 best players, combined for 25 points by halftime. They were still very much in this game. The third quarter is where everything changed. The Jazz refused to go away quietly. They came out with intensity and purpose, attacking the Thunder on both ends of the floor. Jusuf Nurkic, Utah's center, had a moment where he scored a layup to give the Jazz a 70-69 lead, a stunning development given that Oklahoma City had been up by 20 just minutes earlier. By the end of the third quarter, the Thunder's 20-point lead had evaporated. The score stood at 91-86 with Utah down just 5 points. Something had shifted in the Thunder's approach. As one observer noted, there was just a sleepy approach by the Thunder on both sides of the floor. The defense wasn't as sharp. The offense wasn't flowing. The Jazz were finding their rhythm, and the Thunder seemed to be going through the motions. The fourth quarter brought even more drama. The Thunder's outside shooting continued to falter. They couldn't get stops when they needed them. Utah's offense was clicking, particularly on the glass where they were winning the battle for rebounds. With more than 5 minutes remaining in regulation, the Thunder found themselves down by 8 points. The 20-point lead wasn't just gone, it had completely reversed. But the Thunder weren't done fighting. They started chipping away at the deficit, making it competitive again. The game was heading toward a finish that nobody could have predicted when the quarter began. With the game on the line and the clock winding down in the fourth quarter, Lauri Markkanen made a crucial play for Utah. He threw down a reverse putback with just 3 seconds left on the shot clock at the end of regulation, giving the Jazz a 114-112 lead. The play was reviewed and confirmed as good. The Jazz had the lead and they had the momentum. Victory seemed within reach, but the Thunder had one more possession, one more chance. The ball went to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning MVP and the best player on the floor. With the game on the line and the Paycom Center holding its breath, Gilgeous-Alexander calmly stepped stepped up and made a 13-foot mid-range jumper at the buzzer to tie the game at 114-114. The arena erupted. The crowd's earlier sense of dread and worry was replaced by a surge of hope and excitement. The Thunder were still alive. This game was going to overtime. In the extra period, the Thunder's championship medal showed. They outscored the Jazz 15-11 in overtime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 9 additional points in the overtime period, putting the game away. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's buzzer beater will be remembered as the play that kept the Thunder's historic season alive. But the Jazz's ability to nearly upset a team that was supposed to dominate them showed that on any given night, with effort and execution, any team can make a game competitive. The final score was Thunder 129, Jazz 125, but the real story was how we got there.